Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun as always is my brother in podcasting, Reed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love these fried onions. These are so good.
We've got to go.
I think there's something in my fried onion. Did somebody spike my fried onion? I'm a vampire.
So someone...
Hey.
Someone put blood in your fried onion?
Yes, and now I enjoy the fried onion and I'm a vampire.
I mean, this is always bound to happen. You can never deny a fried onion.
Don't worry, I'll handle this. It's me, Vamp Pareto.
Let's get into that.
Ghostfacers! We're facing ghosts, when others will not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We're facing nightmare, we're facing dread! Ghostfacers! We're facing faceless, we're facing dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 7, Fresh Blood.
Yeah, baby. None of that Frozen.
Yeah. No, this is in squares and fresh.
Yeah, Wendy's
blood. Oh, no. I'd take a turn I didn't intend for it to. We want to drink Wendy's blood.
I'll get a Bloodinator, please.
I like to take the French fries and dip it in Wendy's blood.
I want a blood frosty.
A baked blood tato. But not chili.
Also the chili. I'll get a chili.
Oh, just a separate thing.
Just a chili.
I just like the chili.
Yeah.
You're going to knock down the door while they're closed to get to your Wendy's blood.
Get that spicy chicken blood.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how we got here, but this episode aired November 15th, 2007. Written by Sarah Gamble. Always good episode with Sarah. And directed by Kim Manners. Viewed by a surprising 2.88 million viewers.
Okay.
Not
Below 3,
yeah.
but still basically same neighborhood.
Yeah, I think it's for whatever reason, I mean, we'll see in a second, based in sometimes the promo, I think maybe that's what does it. I'm not really sure, but let's watch the promo to find out.
If you've been watching the show, that promo's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
If you haven't been watching the show,
It's
that promo tells you
nothing.
Nothing.
It's just like, hey, this guy's laughing. He's coming back. Oh no, the guy. Oh no, he's.
You only see his mouth like at the beginning and end of the Rocky Horror Picture
Yes.
Show.
Don't really understand the. Yeah, I could see why promos can really have a huge effect.
Science fiction. Ooh.
It was weird when he broke into that. It actually made me want to watch it more.
Yeah.
Sterling K. Brown and
Supernatural doing Rocky Horror.
oh yeah, that feels like a natural fit.
Yeah. Sam can be Janet.
Yeah, Dean can be.
Dean can be Brad.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You want Dean to be Frankenfurter.
Yes.
Which I guess then makes Sam Rocky.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes more sense because the Frankenstein sort of thing.
And
yeah.
I think you bring back the guy from the bank from Night Shifter. You bring back the guy from Night Shifter as Eddie. He can bust in, do one number, and then get axe murdered.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this.
Bobby is the professor.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
Running about.
Bella is Columbia.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe Ruby is Magenta.
We're also working just based on the characters we've had so far on the show.
Azazel?
This is really great content.
Riff Raff?
Who is Brad? Why don't we go to international titles?
Please.
These are even less interesting this week. Basically, everybody got it
Some
right.
of them didn't include. I'm an idiot.
What?
Sam is Brad, clearly.
But then who is...
Dean has to be Eddie. with the cool rock and roll number. Gordon is Frankenfurter.
Yeah.
Ugh, you idiot.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I was trying to...
Idiot, you're so stupid. You're never going to get this goddamn musical off the ground.
The supernatural musical years after they ended the show.
It's not even a new musical. It's just them doing Rocky Horror.
Yeah. International titles. Basically, everybody got it right.
Man, fuck you, season 3.
I know. Germany...
Or rather, fuck you, translators.
Yeah. Well, just wait, because in these future seasons, they start getting a lot more broad and esoteric and crazy.
It's
And
going to make me upset if it doesn't swing back to crazy.
when we get the Fall Out Boy ones, like, there's no way they can be literal. It's going to be good. Germany, Brazil, and Hungary all got fresh Brut.
Sure.
France did a little different, but not much.
I mean, it's not like the song fresh or song frais or something like that.
Rouge Song.
Red blood.
Yeah.
Okay. Wouldn't it be sang rouge?
No, it's Rouge Song, so it's blood red. Because you read French backwards, right? So.
Well, it's not just that you read it back. Whatever.
No, come on, Professor.
Yeah.
That's how it's written. That's how it's said.
But that's
Translate.
clearly, what I'm saying is that's clearly written by an American.
We'll never know. Featured music. I like when you get in better enough shape because then you can't even think about comedy. It's just the thing that's running through your brain over and over again. And how is the best way to articulate it without making you look like a dick? No, come on. Preach to me about how I'm wrong.
Azazel is still riffing.
It's featured music from this 7 Minutes in Heaven by David Feldstein.
Meg is Columbia.
Crazy Circles by Bad Company.
Oh, yeah.
I also got a bit of extra info on this. There isn't a ton of like trivia and like extra info that are available for this episode, but there's a few bits that I was able to track down through the DVD and through Wikipedia and whatnot.
Sure.
So apparently, a past guest, Christopher Leonards,
Yeah.
who does all of the scoring for all of these episodes.
Music, yeah.
So he said that he felt people associate the sound of violins with vampires specifically.
Oh, interesting.
Due to the connection to with Eastern Europe and counts.
Yeah.
So and
That's
thus
probably fair.
they use a very violin heavy score for this episode.
Interesting.
Specifically avoiding woodwinds, brass, and piano.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I don't see a vampire and think saxophone. Yeah. I was also thinking Baker Street.
I want to suck your blood.
Making my way down on Baker Street.
Blah.
I'm never going to dance again. Guilty feet have got no rhythm.
Some featured players this week on Vampire Night Live.
In the mood. In the mood. Wow.
I feel like you're just becoming Balky at this point. TV Guide describes this episode as Sam and Dean learn that a male vampire is using human blood to turn women into unsuspecting bloodsuckers. Meanwhile, Sam is being pursued by Gordon, who has escaped from jail and become a much more dangerous threat.
Holy shit.
I mean, you must have been excited just for this episode coming up because you love Gordon.
I do love Gordon. I stan a Gordon.
We all stan a Gordon.
We all stan a Gordon. Sterling K. Brown is just such a fucking like tour de force always. Like he brings so much like credential and like acting gravitas and acting to like just anything.
Well, because
like I guess what I'm saying is he feels like his training and skill level is higher than his level of pretension.
Basically,
like, fucking Brooklyn Nine-Nine I was like, this is the closest the show has ever been to like, I'm actually like kind of scared of this criminal. Like, it's a comedy show, and I was like, they better nail this guy.
Well, and what's that? The family show that he's on?
Oh, is he on This Is
Yeah,
Us?
This Is Us.
Yeah.
Yeah, which like totally, he is the like dramatic core of that show.
Yeah.
It's crazy because
awesome. I love him.
I mean, he's older, and it's taken him so long to really get the credit that he deserves.
I wonder, like, I mean, like a lot of people that are on TV, like a bit or here and there and that. Like, I wonder, like, he must do like stage work or something too. He's such a compelling act. Like, thinking about like, I'd love to see him just like in plays, like him on stage must be incredible to watch.
Oh, he holds so much presence on the screen. I can only imagine that that's what which crazy. Yeah.
I want to see like Sterling K. Brown as like Uncle Vanya or some shit like that, or Othello or Hamlet or something.
Yeah, he does. So in the theater, Brown was cast in the 2002 production of Bertolt Brecht's The Resistible Rise of Aurora.
Yeah, Bertolt Brecht. Yeah,
sure.
Very famous, early 20th century German playwright.
Starring Al Pacino, Paul Giamatti, Steve Buscemi, John Goodman, and Jacqueline McKenzie.
Okay, so hang on.
Shit.
Hang on. That's a very impersonatable cast. Let's see. So Pacino. Hooah! Who's next?
Paul Giamatti.
I'm sorry, Cube. I gotta get the contract signed.
Steve Buscemi. There you go. Okay. John Goodman. God, you were a man with 1,000 voices. And Jacqueline McKenzie?
It's me, Jacqueline McKenzie.
Do you have any idea who that is?
No. Nailed it.
In 2014, he starred as the hero in Susan Laurie Park's Odyssey, inspired by the play Father Comes Home from the Wars at the New York Public Theater. Yeah, I mean, he's been in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
but
see, that tracks because he definitely has like the air and the presence of like a real classically trained like theater actor, and he fucking brings it. Obviously I love his episodes on this show. I love his episodes on other shows. I kind of wish, maybe I don't wish he was a bigger movie star because then you rob him from the theater, but like I kind of wish maybe he had there was a little bit more love for Sterling K. Brown out there.
It's crazy. I mean, this literally his career really sort of he's only 45. It's actually not that old. Mm-hmm. But he basically did regional theater for years and then only was like in all of those like ER, NYPD Blue, JAG, Boston Legal shows. Yeah. I mean, those all make sense for him.
Oh man, JAG.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
But basically like this role was his first big role.
Like his first like recurring, like I'm not just in for an episode.
Yeah, like not just a day player. Like this is the first one.
I can't remember if we talked about it the first time he was on, but like was he meant to just be a day player and then he was so good they were like, we'll bring him back, or was the plan always for Gordon to recur?
I mean, we'll talk about it a bit at the end of this, but his intention was to recur.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was only up until like 2016 that he really started getting in like any significant roles or like anything that was like in prestige and stuff like that, right? Like that was sort of when he started getting like I think, and This Is Us is probably the first one where everybody started to actually recognize who he was. So yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting.
We got lucky with this one. I mean, Supernatural over and over again always chooses really great actors.
Supernatural's
casting is incredible.
Among its sort of strengths and the things that kept it on the air, its casting is way up there. Mm-hmm. Supernatural cast strong.
Super. Yeah. Natural. But let's talk about today's episode. But before we do, why don't we get into Dad's Journal and talk about some of the real world lore
of today?
No. It's just
fine. Let's see what the lore says about vampiric turning.
Blah. I want Wendy's.
Time can never mend the careless whispers of a good friend.
We got two very different roads we're on right now for Dracula.
Trying to sing in an accent is really tough.
Yeah. More than a feeling.
Do they heart and mind? Ignorance is kind. It sounds like
science fiction.
It sounds like some stupid thing where like Gru sings the credit song while the people
double feature.
Oh yeah. You're a hot dog, but you'd better. So, yeah, let's see what the lore says about vampiric turning. So,
damn it, Janet.
I love you. The idea of vampires or revenants is very old, goes back thousands of years. But like the specifics of like what a vampire is are very amorphous. They exist in all cultures. It's usually about some kind of draining of life force or blood or things like that. But like our version of vampires is like relatively modern. There's a sort of generic kind of haunting demon, like a lot of crossover between like you're part monster or you're a zombie or you're a like there's a lot of crossover when you go further back in time. So like some traditions describe them as undead or revenant. Others were that they were just fully alive but had like turned their back on God. Some early European folk descriptors included like being bloated or ruddy with blood dripping and shit like that. So the reason that I'm setting that up is because there were some very different ideas about how vampires are created. And it sort of depended on what you believed a vampire was.
Fair.
So Slavs and Chinese believed that like if an animal jumped over your grave, specifically a dog or a cat, then it's maybe an indicator that you would be undead or you would rise from the grave or things like that. A body with a wound that wasn't like treated, like the idea of like infection bringing you back or something like that. That was one out there. I mean, maybe not the idea of infection because I don't think back then they really understood what infection was, but just that idea of like a festering wound.
Well, disease. I mean, yeah, you're talking about like the Black Death and stuff coming on. Like they started becoming really aware of the effects of disease. So
yeah. Russian Orthodox had a belief that if you turned against the church in life, you might come back to life after death as a vampire.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm turning now.
Which is, I mean, thank you, Russia, for everything you've done.
Yes.
What a metal place to live.
Fucking right.
In some versions, the idea of being a vampire is like you could be maybe possessed by an evil spirit, and that would make you a vampire.
Oh.
So it wasn't about even being undead or anything like that. I think it might have just been last week or 2 weeks ago we talked about King James classified demons.
Great for 3-pointer.
The king. King James in Space Jam: A New Legacy.
What's great about like a good point guard is
But maybe it would be like a demon or a spirit that would like possess you and shit like that, which is kind of again feels like we're getting further from vampire. But the vampire thing was almost more like a description of like, and they might drink blood, and then it didn't matter how you got there.
Yeah. So
there was all these different ways to like create vampires. But like I said, our modern version of vampires comes almost entirely from the 17th and 18th century in Eastern Europe. There was like a real rise in the reports of vampirism and vampire attacks, and it led to a literal frenzy of vampire hunting and staking. People would dig up graves and kill potential revenants. And if they thought that wouldn't work, they'd cut off their heads.
Yikes.
There was a case in Serbia where a farmer was deemed to have been killed by a vampire, and then years later himself returned and was killing neighbors. And that's, I think, one of the earliest versions that I found, at least, of becoming a vampire via vampire.
Okay, wow. All right.
That's at least in what I looked
Yeah.
at. That's the first kind of like thing where the idea that like vampirism is
Contagious, yeah.
transmissible, the way
Yeah.
that we kind of see it now. And then modern literature has a few different versions. In some, it's as simple as being bitten by a vampire. But
Which
that's
is not the supernatural way.
and it's not even the way in most other literature. I think because authors and that need a, even if you look at a vampire as an organism,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense that the way you feed spawns more of you, because
No.
then you're making food scarce.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
have to
without a doubt.
that shouldn't also make more vampires, because like
And then it's a multiplier every
even like
time you
evolutionarily, vampires should weed themselves out that way.
Yeah.
So the inversion is you have to make someone else a vampire of you.
Yes.
So if you were a vampire and you normally feed, this time you would feed someone your blood.
Yes.
To consume vampire blood would turn you into a vampire. And this is a version we see in a few different spots. But yeah, as far as I could tell, that sort of Serbian case from the 1700s is the first sort of at least popular version of a vampire creating a vampire. But that's where we are now with it. And yeah, you drink vampire's blood, you become a vampire.
yeah.
At least our version of vampire, right?
Yeah.
With the fangs and
Yeah.
staying, out at night, you can't be in the sun and all that kind of shit.
Where does the sparkly skin come in?
Oh, I didn't realize we were going to talk about fuck vampires.
Fuck pyres.
Let me pull up my other notes.
Oh. Wow, you're just pulling up a bunch of
It's all in my incognito browser.
Yeah, it's all bookmarks that you've saved.
Yeah. So according to Pornhub,
Nice. Well, with that, why don't we get into today's episode?
yeah, sure.
No, we don't have to. Our then is quite quick, which is it's really just Dean's deal again, sort of going over that, and flashbacks of Gordon, which at this point he's become a bit of a scamp.
Yeah. He's also maybe one of the best Bare Naked Ladies albums.
Gordon, yeah. Is that the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Gordon, and then there's Maroon,
Mm-hmm.
and then Stunt.
Yeah, Gordon is the best.
Gordon,
yeah. without
Gordon
a
and
doubt.
Maroon are the best ones.
Yeah. I prefer Maroon 5.
Stunt's up there though.
We then go into the now, beginning with, of course, another returning character,
Huh.
Bella.
That's right.
Bella's walking to her car when she notices someone's walking behind her in the car window. Who else could it be? Gordon. Oh my.
Ugh.
Be my Yoko Ono.
And I mean, in a different circumstance, this could also be the start of my slash fiction.
Oh my God. I mean, it is. Just it goes in a different way.
Yeah, it just doesn't go the way I would want it to go.
Although she doesn't actually recognize him by first glance, when he reveals his identity, she recalls hearing of him being in jail. I like this moment because they are two characters who hadn't met. Like they actually
Yeah.
aren't familiar with one another.
But I do, again, I love it's narratively convenient if she goes, I've heard of you. And then you go, great, we can just assume she's up to speed.
Yeah. But I mean,
I also like the idea, specifically with a character like Bella, she is connected to this like underworld of supernatural things and
100%.
occult things. And
100%.
the idea that like there is information being passed around. We just get more of that idea of like the Hunter Network,
Mm-hmm.
whatever this extra sort of like buyer-seller network
Yeah.
that she's a part of. I love that kind of world building stuff. That's always fun.
And she vaguely knows of him, maybe through the Winchesters or something like that, but
Yeah.
that he was in jail.
Yeah.
As she reaches into her car, Gordon reveals that she's probably looking for her gun, and he already has it.
Yeah.
Pulls the clip out, but putting the gun to her face, he tells her that he knows she was recently in Massachusetts. Massachusetts. That's the word.
Nice.
Massachusetts. Boston. And she parked the car.
You can't have it, yeah.
Yeah.
The ghost ship and have it. Fuck.
No. Lose it once it's
The ghost ship.
there. It is.
Harvard
This
Yard.
Massachusetts with the Winchesters and demands to know where they are. Being the mercenary she is, Bella won't even begin to squeal until a deal's made.
Yeah.
That was also in my
I do think
slash fiction.
I mean, I do think though, even though yes, she does kind of give them up.
Yeah.
I think she's also not giving up as much as she can.
May actually know.
I do feel like,
That's
whether
very
it's
nice of
because
you.
she kind of admires them or she just still wants the dean.
Yeah, to get her vitamin Dean.
Yeah. How do you get the dean?
We all need the Dean.
Yeah. It could be that. But I do feel like because that was just a pretty fresh adventure. I feel like fresh. Exciting. I feel like she probably could have given up more. Like she's technically being mercenary. She's looking out for herself. She's trying not to get killed here, but is also like just doing enough to get out of that situation without like fully selling them out.
Exactly.
That's the way I see it. But I like Bella as a character. I think I'm maybe looking for more good in her than there is.
I think you might be.
Yeah.
Gordon, hesitating to shoot her, offers her up $3,000 for the information. Bella sneers and says she won't even get out of bed for $3,000. However, she notices on his belt buckle a priceless mojo bag over a century old. She agrees to call it an even trade for the mojo bag. Gordon scoffs at this idea of it being priceless, but agrees, and Bella immediately calls up Dean to find out where they are. Look at that.
Oh,
I'm very, very excited. These are the pieces to like line up to like, oh God, he's on the trail. A person they recently had an issue with.
I know it's all one TV show. It's not quite the same thing, but this is almost like the feeling of like, do you remember in the earlier days of the MCU where they were like only starting to put like a character from here over there, where you're like, oh, Coulson was in Iron Man and now he's here in Thor. Or you'd be like, oh, the Falcon is in Ant-Man. And you're like, ooh, like they know each other. And like, I know it's all the same show, but this idea of like Bella and Gordon meet, like, ooh, you're like, it does kind of feel like big.
Yeah.
You know?
100%. Yeah.
I kind of dig that.
Absolutely. So we then go to a warehouse. Sam and Dean are hunting down a vampire running loose.
I love that they always run loose in a warehouse too.
It's very convenient of them.
It's never like a shopping mall at noon.
No, it makes things a lot easier, I think. One guy is seen on the floor bleeding to death with a huge bite on the side of his neck.
That sucks.
Not ideal, I'd say.
Yeah.
The boys continue to chase after the vampire. Dean takes a machete and slices a huge opening in his skin. Blood starts oozing down his arm. He then yells out to the vampire, "Smell that? Come and get it." Dean's literally just like being like rogue, being crazy.
Dean with nothing to lose.
Couldn't be hotter.
I mean, this is also not the last time in the show we get a Dean with nothing to lose.
Yes.
But Dean with nothing to lose
Always
is both crazy reckless and also so fucking badass.
Super
There's
hot.
something, yeah.
Yeah. You just take and do whatever you want with whoever you want.
Yeah, Bella doesn't get out of bed for $3,000.
Yeah.
But if Dean cuts his arm open to lure a bunch of vampires,
I think she could be convinced.
she's already on the way.
Yeah. At that moment, a female vampire appears. Yeah, no duh. In the distance and charge after Dean.
Yeah.
Dean is quick to respond, injecting her with a dose of dead man's blood.
Yeah.
But like right as like it like the moment was like it looked like her teeth were almost touching his neck at that point.
Yeah.
Like he let her get so close.
He's being
reckless.
very reckless.
Yeah. And seeming to actually enjoy the moment, knocking her unconscious on the floor as Sam walks into the room. And even Sam's like, "You really let that get too far." And he's like, I was just having like, it's
Just
fine.
arm bleeding.
Yeah. The vampire wakes up to find herself tied to a chair as the boys are standing over her.
Yeah.
I've had that dream.
So if you're keeping score at home, we're at like 4 slash fictions so far in this episode, I think.
Yeah, this is a very unsexy, very sexy episode.
It's not a sexy episode, but everything about it turns me on.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They demand to know
for the podcast.
No, we're pretty overtly sexy. They demand to know where her vampire nest is, and
Yeah.
she tells them she doesn't know what they're talking about. She says her name is Lucy, and she was at a bar named Spider, and there was a guy who put a few drops of some kind of red drug in her drink. God, a bar named Spider. Nothing good happens in the night.
Where are we going tonight? I'm going to Spider. Spider only opens at 2:15 on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, for just me.
Yeah. They close all the garage doors, and you don't get to leave until Sunday.
Yeah. Spider.
Like that German club, that famous
Oh.
German club or whatever. That's nonstop.
Did you ever go to one of those like the closed raves?
Not a rave. I did go to a few parties in an abandoned warehouse.
That
once.
sounds about right.
Yeah. Not unlike the warehouse
Yeah.
featured here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, drank some weird red liquid and
Definitely. Yeah. No, like in a warehouse that didn't have lighting. So
Yeah.
it was just like whatever, like shit people brought.
Flashlights
But it wasn't
and
really
stuff.
like a rave. It wasn't like a electronica thing. It was
No.
mostly just
girl rock.
drugs and booze and
Oh, no music.
climbing out of. There might have been music. I wasn't paying
Just a
attention.
lot of
That's
like
not why I was there.
Yeah, I blocked that part out. It was a singular focus. She said she gets so hungry and that feeling won't wear off. She says she's not coming down from the drug. She said the sunshine hurts her skin and she can hear other people's blood pumping from like a mile away.
Yeah. And this is another thing Supernatural does really well, which is like kind of that. It's the thing I wish actually Harry Potter did better.
Okay.
I know that sounds like a weird thing, but the line
More avert sexual blood
the
letting.
line between the world of this stuff
Yeah.
and the normies
Yeah.
and where they intersect. Like this person has no conception of the supernatural.
Yeah.
Is convinced that
She was just
she's
on a drug.
taking a drug, and that whatever's happening to her is the drug, but she can't stop it, and blah blah blah. And like it was a thing that I kind of wished there was more of in Harry Potter, with like more interactions with Muggles that are like, yeah, I must have blacked out or something. Like
One of my
they don't
favorite.
realize it was like a memory charm or shit like that. Like that kind of the hazy line between like, oh my god, these people. It's not even that something is happening and they don't know what it is. It's that the thing is happening to them and they don't know what it is.
I think it might be the Order of the Phoenix. I can't remember, but the one of the books begins with a great moment in Harry Potter where a new prime minister is put in
Yes.
charge. I wish that ended up in the movies.
Where they have to like the Minister of Magic has to
Yeah.
talk to the Prime Minister and like debrief them that magic exists.
That's like the exact type of like science fiction-y
But that's
fantasy
like one
stuff
of the
I
only
love.
times that's even mentioned,
know.
you know, and I wanted more of that shit.
Yeah.
Like I think I wanted Harry Potter to be a little bit more like Supernatural, which is like the bad wizards are taking over and we are the good wizards and we will protect the muggles from them. And I think I wanted a little bit more of that. And that, at any rate, all of that to say, this idea of like drugging someone to make them a vampire is such like a supernatural idea. It's not just like a vampire in an alley turning someone and being like, you're a vampire now.
Okay, left.
It's this like disguising it as these normal
Yeah.
things people might in culture, quote unquote, in like a bar or whatever, taking drugs, stuff like that. It's so much more sinister.
Yeah.
I really like that.
That's why that first season of True Blood is so good.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, first season of True Blood, just a vampire murder mystery in a swamp.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
But also like this sort of like representation of like black rights and civil rights, rights, and as well as like LGBT rights and stuff like that. Like using it as an analogy. Fucking so good. Yeah, really, really good. So the boys tell her that what she drank was vampire's blood and that she's become a vampire, but she doesn't believe them. What a terrifying moment.
Yeah, I mean, why would she believe them? But also, yeah, that's fucking scary.
Yeah, to like just that whole thing where they're just like, then she's like, I just took a drug. Like, I mean,
But also, I mean, I would be scared if I took a drug and then I was like, the sun hurts.
yeah, I'm sure you've taken a drug where the sun hurts.
I mean, not like that.
But it's like hurts to look at it.
Yeah, but I mean, or just, I mean, that's usually the come down. But
I mean, there you go. Yeah. Here, I mean, you could very well have been put in this situation if vampires were real.
I think I've probably said something like this before, but I'm not one of those people who thinks he's better than a vampire. If someone offered
Yeah.
it to me,
Yeah.
I would become a vampire.
Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would just fully do it.
But doesn't that bring up more questions of
I mean, you know, I'd be one of those ones who's like, I got to live a normal life. I got to find a way. I'll drink cow blood. I'll do like, you know, like,
yeah.
it's not about like the inflicting pain thing, but it's like, I get to be fast and strong and shit like that. And like, yeah.
Yeah, but then you have to
course.
live forever.
No, because just one day I just walk out on a sunny summer day. It's perfect.
Even easier.
Yeah.
Sun's everywhere.
Yeah.
But doesn't that bring up a larger question, which is like, okay, if vampires exist, that means that it's like undead. So what does actual death mean then? Does that mean that there's God? Does that mean that I'm like going against God then, if God is actually real in this situation?
No, I see, but I think, and in the world of supernatural, you know, where we are right now, I think all of these things exist and don't need God.
Okay.
They just exist, right? Like,
I just figured like if you're going to set
there's
up
different classes of creatures as opposed to necessarily, you know.
I just feel like there's like a chart that goes like if this then that, right?
Yeah, I don't know that God is part of that chart, though, is what I mean.
Well, we'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah.
So Sam and Dean talk in the other room for a second and agree that they don't have a choice but to kill her. What a terrifying thing to also have to do, to be like, this person like honestly doesn't know what's happening, doesn't want to do this. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's shades of that werewolf situation from last season.
Totally.
You know, they don't have they have to do it now because they will have to do it later.
Yeah.
And at least this way no one else gets hurt.
What I like is that
that sucks because this person is like
I'm in my 20s and doing random drugs.
Yeah,
like,
I'm high. I'm trying to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Like, ah, fuck.
But at least the show doesn't relish.
That's why it's so sinister that's like just that idea of like spiked drugs. And dangerous stuff in your drinks and that. I mean, that's riffing on very real things. And then to add this layer to it is a very effective, scary tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. At least the show doesn't relish in the moment where they decapitate. I don't think they don't even show it.
No, they don't show it at all.
Which I like.
They
that.
just kind of have to. They just go like, we have to do this
because they show other decapitations, but they don't show that moment, and I think it's very intentional.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if you do that, then you're saying like, yeah,
she deserved
great.
it.
You know, like we only see it when it's like we know that one's bad.
Yeah, that character earned that moment, right? So this actress that just was decapitated is Mercedes McNabb, well known for her portraying the vampire in another series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, shit.
Known as Harmony Kendall.
Oh, shit.
That's right. And an angel.
Well, fuck.
Yeah, guest starred as the vampire Lucy in this episode. Although hesitant to play another vampire, McNabb came to the realization that the character was less of a vampire and more of a girl who woke up basically drugged and was changed and didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
The actress also noted that Harmony was generally used for comic relief, whereas Lucy was intended to be a serious, more dramatic role for her.
Yeah.
Her previous experience.
It's supposed to be a real fucking bummer. At
exactly. Which is giving her an opportunity she wasn't because of the role she'd already done.
Yeah.
Her previous experience with director Kim Manners on the television series The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Also influenced her decision. Because many of her recent characters tended to die, McNabb was delighted by Lucy's off-screen death. Again, I like that. The actress was also working on an episode of Reaper during the filming of this episode.
Interesting.
I loved Reaper.
Yeah, you've mentioned that one. I haven't seen it. But
so
it's
fucking
definitely
good.
Come up before.
It's Supernatural-esque. It's like Supernatural meets Chuck.
Sure, and I know you love Chuck.
I love Chuck. And the Supernatural production staff was able to fit her into the shooting schedule. The actress found them to be really helpful in making sure that her scenes didn't take too long to film. Her portion of the opening scene took only a few hours to shoot, allowing her to return to Reaper for the next morning. Look at that. So we now go to a hospital. Gordon and Kubrick speak with a guy who survived Lucy's attack at the warehouse.
Kubrick's back, baby.
Yeah. Kubrick, baby. He doesn't provide much information about her except that she attacked him and then bit him. But and he's like, why is that a problem? And they're like, no, you're fine as long as it didn't like transfer its blood to you.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, what? And they're like, don't worry about it. But he does tell them that the two guys who fit the description of the Winchester brothers were there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the Kubrick's back.
Yeah.
We sadly don't get an update on whether or not he still enjoys the big fried onion.
Yeah.
Love that when they do the fried.
You're getting distracted again.
What are you talking about? That was the most important detail of his last appearance.
So then we go to the club, Spider. The boys are walking out of Spider's bar, where all three victims were last reported being seen before the attack.
Yeah.
As they were walking out, they see a blonde across the street being taken around back into an alley with another guy.
It's just all of these things. You're just like, oh, everything's bad.
Yep, all things are bad.
You don't even need vampires for it to be bad.
No, it would have been bad regardless.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean follow them to find out the guy is about to give her a dose of vampire's blood.
Yeah.
The boys manage to throw a few punches before she ingests any blood. The girl runs off, and the boys follow after the vampire, only to end up trapped on the other end of the alley by Gordon and Kubrick with their guns aimed.
Yeah.
As soon as
Woo!
yeah, I know.
It's a good standoff.
yeah.
I like it.
I mean, finally, they're all on the same ground, right? Like it's
And
nobody's
even though
sneaking
Gordon
up.
is scary on his own, having like the 2 against 2 is like, you know, like Gordon against Sam and Dean, you're like, they could pull this off. They've beaten Gordon before,
Yeah.
but now that he's got backup, you're like, shit.
And they're both crazy in two completely different ways, right?
Yeah, Gordon's so singularly focused, and then Kubrick thinking he's like on a mission from God and shit like that. Yeah, they each have their own version of like a real like zealous kind of fervor.
Total.
Yeah.
As soon as the boys catch a glimpse of them, they run for their lives while Gordon and Kubrick are firing bullet after bullet at them because they weren't prepared for this. Dean tells Sam to run for it while he heads them off, which Sam's just like, fucking seriously? Like why are you trying to die? Dean runs across the alley with Kubrick following after him. Gordon, still attempting to go after Sam, gets sidetracked when he falls victim to a vampire and is knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, the first time I saw this episode, I was so not prepared for this.
Well, because you forget for a moment
Yeah.
how this started. It's
Yeah.
like, we're hunting a vampire. and then
I can't imagine the first time you watched it too, right? It's like
yeah.
never thinking that was going to happen. Like,
I mean, we're getting into it. Everything about this episode, I was like, I know they did.
you were texting me
my
as it was happening.
It was like, yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe the episode was happening.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I remember. Dean runs across the alley with Kubrick following after him, while Gordon is still going after Sam and is knocked unconscious. So now we go to the motel. Dean arriving back at the motel, being like, "Oh yeah, sorry it took so long. I was getting some fucking pizza or something." And the two of them are trying to figure out not only how Gordon got out of jail, but how he knew they were there.
Yeah.
Then it dawns on Dean that the other day Bella called.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just to thank him for saving her ass. I just want to thank her for having that ass.
Oh.
Most attractive character in the whole show, next to Dean.
Yeah.
Dean first, then Bella.
Yeah. I know, people make their lists of like their, hottest actors, whatever. I think Lauren Cohen is snubbed.
Underappreciated for sure.
Yeah, on a lot of those lists.
Yeah.
They make her this very kind of classy, almost like James Bond style femme fatale.
Yeah.
In this show, but also like her on Walking Dead, she's this like badass, real grounded character. I loved her and Glenn.
Oh.
She's great there. But yeah, Lauren Cohen. Oh, Bella.
So Dean gives Bella a call, and she tells him that Gordon paid her to tell him where they were and that he had a gun to her head, which is just, he was just like...
But this is what I mean. I think this is what I mean. Like, she did sell them out, but she's also like, she's not hiding it. She's not like, I'm going to sell them out and be like, oh no, I didn't do that. She's just like, yeah, he paid me. Like,
Yeah, but that's-
I did literally what I had to do to not die in that moment, and that's it.
But that is also Bella's sort of MO, which is just like be transparent about what a piece of shit she is.
Yeah, very. Yeah, exactly. I guess she doesn't have very qualms.
Because he was just like, why didn't you like let us know? And she's like, oh, I got sidetracked. I was going to.
Yeah, she has that sort of like just like pure neutral kind of.
Neutral evil? Yeah.
Or yeah. I guess she's like neutral evil.
Yeah. It's just willing to do anything as long as nothing gets in her way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like singular focused unless something gets in her way, and then she'll
exactly
push it aside. So Dean, in his deepest, most serious voice, tells her, oh God, it's so hot. Wish he would say this to me, that if they make it out of here alive, he's going to kill her, and then hangs up. Just what I wouldn't do for that call.
You want Dean to call you and say that if he makes it out of here alive, he's going to kill you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, with his bare hands.
Oh my God.
So we go now to an unknown location. Gordon wakes up to find himself inside of a vampire's nest.
And again, we do forget for a moment that this episode was about hunting a vampire.
Yeah.
Like that moment where he gets sideswiped
Yeah.
and knocked out.
Yeah,
You're
it's
like,
so quick.
fuck, because you immediately switch to Winchester's v. Gordon
Yeah.
and Kubrick. And then to have this, and you're like, fuck, now Gordon is in trouble. It's not even like Gordon takes out the vamp,
No.
now you're fuck. Now Gordon's in trouble. It's like, do the Winchesters save him?
Do I care about Gordon?
Leave him? And
yeah.
Then, it's such like a twist kind of thing in the episode. It really like fucks with the energy in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gordon's hung up next to a couple blonde girls, also tied up. We find out that the vampire, Dixon, has been injecting people with his own blood to extend his vampire family.
Yeah, and we learned that
Family.
Yeah. My name is Dom.
Domson.
Tourette Vamp.
Vampiretto.
Yeah. His name should be Vomp.
Vomp
Toretto.
Vampiretto.
Yeah. Vampiretto. That's right. Vampiretto. That's the one. Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah. I drink my blood a quarter gallon at a
That's
time.
how- There it is.
Yeah. You can have any blood you want as long as it's O positive.
It's very good.
But we don't say grace
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
because of Christianity.
yeah, vampires.
Vampiretto. Oh, I think that's my favorite new character we've got for the show.
Oh, yeah.
here. Vampiretto. Really hope he comes back.
Yeah, him and those hazard sign guys.
Yeah, the hazard sign guys and Vampiretto.
Yeah, God, we're so good at this.
Yeah.
Is this why this podcast didn't win?
You know what? Next year.
Okay, next year
We
we
got
win the
nominated
Canadian-
for the Canadian Podcast Award this year. Next year, it's ours. With Vampiretto at the helm.
Oh, how could we not?
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're missing out on.
Yeah. I don't have friends. I have a nest.
Oh yeah. Fuck. I mean, this just writes itself.
Right?
So he's been extending his family so that his kind won't become extinct. He's going to kill Gordon for the new vampires to feed on.
Yeah.
But Gordon unleashes a tide of abuse about his kind, basically just saying like you're all like scum and
Yeah. We know how Gordon feels about any monster. There is no gray in Gordon's world.
no.
And he lets them know.
Yeah. And which changes Dixon's mind, Vomp's mind.
Oh, really?
Uh,
The thing about a vamp fight. A vamp always wins.
That's right. Dixon decides to turn Gordon into a vampire instead.
Yeah.
And
which I think this is where I was like texting you like, holy shit.
They're not going to go through it.
They're not going to do this.
Holds his cut arm to Gordon's as the latter lies defenseless on the table.
Yeah. we are white, so we can't really comment with any like authority on like race or things like that. But you know, you got to imagine a little bit this thing, because Gordon is like, no.
Yeah.
You got to imagine if you were one of those white racists and shit like that, something similar would really like get at the core fears and insecurities in your head as well. Like, that idea of the like, but the only thing that justified my violence and my hate and things like that is that
we were different.
We were totally different.
Yeah.
Completely separate.
Yeah.
And now to have a part of that in there, you know.
Yeah.
It would be the same if, like, you know, Gordon's daughter married a vampire. Be like, it's the Romeo and Juliet thing or whatever. It's like,
guess who's coming to dinner?
You know, like it's that thing of like the now how do I justify this rage in my heart? It's like, what a way to like bring Gordon's world crashing down. And this episode just fully turns to being like, oh, Gordon's going to go off the deep end, like more than he is,
which is like so hard to believe,
because before it's like he's kind of deranged but he has a mission, and I kind of get it. If you believe the things he believes, he is doing what he thinks he needs to. Exactly. But this is like, you're kind of just like, you're taking away all of like the guardrails, and now it's just like, what's he gonna do now? My child can... This is his Joker moment. He falls into the vat. And now it's like, now the rules of society are gone. What is he going to do now? My future child can be whoever they want, love whoever they want. But I swear to God, if they show up at my house with a vampire... Not in this house. Vampirello? Okay, maybe one vampire. Yeah, there's one good one out there. God, he's so good. He could literally do anything. I mean, really, he's a superhero. Yes. You still haven't seen 9. I know. The boys are in the room sharpening their blades back at the motel now, and agree that Gordon's not getting away this time. This is when we see a Sammy who's a little bit more aggressive, because Sam's like, we need to kill him. And Dean's like, wait, what? Like, not the like, ooh, boo-hoo, we have to save him. He's like, nope, he's crossed the line. This is when they're still trying to play like Sam's a little bit different. They are still trying to play it. And I mean, they're right, because really it shouldn't matter. But also it's hard sometimes because you're like, Sam's kind of right. It's gone far enough. Literally will never stop. He broke out of jail. He will not stop until they're both dead. And even if he doesn't get it out of jail, he's going to keep sending people. The only way to end this is to kill him. To kill him. They're left with no choice. Dean receives another call from Bella, telling him that out of the goodness of her heart and the fact that she doesn't want to get killed, and you know, still like to keep the door open for something. Killing feels like we're like putting a real stop on this relationship. And I realized that if you're dead, we can't fuck, so I'm going to help you. Or it's like it really closes the window on that. So Jesus, not saying it's fully away. Jesus, dude. There's a warm period. Oh my God. So she uses her talking board to find out where Gordon is. Her talking board? That's what she says. So is that what she calls it? Because I think a Ouija is... Was it like trademark? Yeah. Really? Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like one of those toy companies has it. Don't worry, I'll use my ghost speaker. Yeah, I'll use my no-name brand spectral communicator. Yeah, exactly. That's my guess is why, unless there's a longer. I just assumed like Ouija was a word that meant something. Not maybe like it is, brand but name. Also I bet that the toy company has trademarked that word. Yeah, fair enough. So she's found Gordon's exact location. She tells them that he's in a 2-story warehouse near the riverfront with a neon sign outside. I think it says like Trade Co. or something like that. Right. And also the spirits had a message to pass on as well, which is leave town, run like hell, do not go after Gordon. I love that idea that like a vampire can't do shit to a ghost, but the ghosts are like, you guys should be afraid. Yeah, like, ooh, it's spooky. Yeah. Ooh.
Well, actually, what the ghost said was "woo."
Yeah, but what we heard
Yeah.
was... Oh, God.
She had her ghost translator, so she was able to tell
Yeah.
what that meant. It's-
All the cadence of our conversation, but only ooze.
Yeah, it's a great joke. So we now go to a warehouse. Gordon wakes up to find himself tied up like the other girls.
Oh, it's so fucked up. We get some of his perspective of like his new senses. And
yeah,
stuff.
the lights coming through, and
the episode does a good job of setting up what the early stages of turning
Yeah.
is with Lucy, the stuff she was describing.
But now you actually get to
hearing blood,
hear it.
and then we get to experience it
Yeah.
with Gordon. She just tells the guys, and then we kind of get the sense of it with Gordon. And the episode does a good job of like prepping us. What is that like? What's the first 10 hours after the thing like?
So you get the thumping of the heartbeats from somewhere.
Yeah.
The lights coming through and like hurting his eyes.
Yeah, it's really effective. It's good.
He walks down an alley on the side of the warehouse and sees a man changing a tire on his car.
Yeah.
I also love there's a moment where a car comes past him and it flashes with his lights, and then you see the like lines of the like tail lights going with the car. Really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool light effects here. He stares at the guy and gets a hungry vampire feeling in his system.
He sure does.
Gordon tries to fight it, but he can hear the guy's blood pumping louder and louder as his teeth turn into fangs.
And I do like the idea that Gordon tries to fight it because, again, Gordon, to this point, has some rules.
Yeah.
He's a maniac,
Yeah.
but he still has...
He's like, vampires are bad. They shouldn't kill.
But he also still has some rules. He's like, everything I'm doing is trying to protect
Sam.
people.
Yeah.
And also, even trying to get Sam is trying to protect people.
Yeah.
Because he thinks Sam is the Antichrist or
Yeah.
some shit, right?
Yeah,
Like, he has some rules, but I also like the idea that like maybe if this was someone more like Sam, he would be strong enough to fight it.
Yeah.
But because it's Gordon who constantly submits to his rage and violence and his own bloodlust, that it's like, even if intellectually he's like, I shouldn't do this, he's just like, I can't fight this.
Exactly.
Like he doesn't put up that much of a fight.
He's like,
you see the moment where he's like,
whatever.
no, and then he's just like, I gotta do it.
Yeah. So the guy gets inside the car to find Gordon in the backseat and is attacked. I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's scary enough for Gordon to just be out there in the world. But now Gordon to also have these instinctual murderous like things on top of what he already have. It's terrifying.
And like powers.
Yeah.
You know,
like
that's
so much scarier.
Gordon was already a formidable foe
Yeah.
for the Winchesters, and now he's got all of the suite of vampire abilities.
And then all of the training and like determination.
The enhanced senses now. Like now he's got, he was a great hunter before, and now he can also just smell and hear them. Like
Terrifying.
Yeah.
The boys arrive at the warehouse to find Dixon standing alone in the room with the two girls hanging dead. Because as Gordon was leaving, the girls were like, help me. And you don't see what happens. But he had killed them.
Yes.
So, God, he's like a real Blade. He would make a great Blade.
I was about to say that, actually, when we were talking about just his career and shit.
Yeah.
I'm pumped for the Mahershala Blade, but like Sterling K. Brown as Blade would fuck.
So dark.
Yeah.
Incredible. So he had killed, and Dixon doesn't even care. Like he could clearly sense that the boys were behind him, but he just doesn't even care. He's so distraught.
Yeah, because Gordon doesn't he like he rips the heads off?
Yeah,
because it's that vamps. We gotta decapitate them in the show. Quick reminder: stakes not good enough.
Yeah. They realize that Dixon turned Gordon into a vampire and realize that he's made Gordon more dangerous to them than he has ever been in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because, and that's also a way to show that, like the thing in the alley, there's a little, Gordon's not just full monster. There's Gordon in there still. He's still like, just because I'm a vamp doesn't mean I'm not going to kill every goddamn one of you.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, now you've just given me the ability to do it more easily. Like,
here's the thing that I don't remember. I don't think they killed Dixon. I don't think they show them killing Dixon.
Great question.
Because he doesn't show up again in the rest of the episode because they just go after him. But they don't show a killing scene. So
You must like assume it though.
Well, here's the
because
thing.
we're not far enough in. They have like mercy killed, quote unquote, way more innocent people than Dixon. I think we must assume they kill him.
You would think so, but here's an interesting thing. So the actor who plays Dixon, his name is Matthew Humphreys. And he considers his character deeply misunderstood, of course.
Sure.
The actor found it easy to rationalize what he did because Dixon was at odds with how to start his own family as a vampire. Because his actual daughter was killed by Gordon, I think, or somebody like Gordon. And he maintains that the character had no evil intention behind his role. Humphrey hopes to one day return to the role, which he spoiler alert, he doesn't. But because of that,
so then
maybe they don't kill him.
Yeah, I think I just always assumed that if you kill Lucy, you kill Dixon.
Right?
I think is the logic in my head.
But it's interesting
for it not to be explicit, leaves it open for him, I guess.
Yeah. But it's weird. It's a weird move.
Interesting.
Gordon, meanwhile, heads over to Kubrick's trailer and tells him that he's been turned into a monster.
Oh, this is a pretty chilling scene. Isn't this the scene where he basically says to Kubrick, like, you need to leave me alive long enough to finish this Winchester shit.
I need to die.
You have to hunt me because I'm a vampire. I'm a monster. Monsters must die.
Yeah.
My internal logic is sound, but just let me kill the Winchesters first.
Gordon tells Kubrick that it's the one good thing that can come out of this whole nightmare. Kubrick attempts to cut off his head from behind, though.
Yeah, because
he's like, no, but you're a monster. We both agreed on this.
If you've bought into the Gordon school of hunting,
then you can't convince me otherwise. I have the opportunity to kill you. I'm going to go.
Because if you're good enough to do one thing with it, you're theoretically good enough to keep living.
Yeah.
There is no version of but just let me.
Well, and Kubrick is probably like, I can kill Sam. Like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I've got God on my side.
Yeah.
I'm Kubrick.
Exactly.
I've been here for episodes.
Yeah, I've been here for all eternity. Yeah. I will continue to be here. I am God.
Yeah. Another onion, please.
Yeah. You're really obsessed with this.
It's just my favorite moment of his because he's so psychotic in that last episode, except for that one moment where the guy's like, doesn't the menu look good? He goes, oh man, I love it when they fry that onion. I think that is one of the funniest like throwaway details in an episode of Supernatural. It's just so humanizing, even for this psycho.
It's true. But Gordon, however, quickly rips through Kubrick with his bare hand.
Doesn't he like pull his heart out?
Yeah, and leaves him to die of the wound.
Yeah.
It's such an intense moment.
I mean, Kubrick is a bad guy, but you do feel for him. It's like, Gordon's the one that got him into this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Jesus.
So Michael Massey, who's returned to play the Hunter Kubrick, discussed his character with Brown beforehand and envisioned him as a longtime friend of Gordon.
Yeah.
Who he could depend upon. Brown described Kubrick as a well-meaning, sweet guy and noted that his wife had a visceral response to the character's death when later viewing the episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So back at the motel, Dean tells Sam he's going after Gordon alone. Big surprise.
Of course, Dean. We get it. Didn't he just promise not to be reckless?
I know. Sam refuses to let him go off by himself because he'll get himself killed. But as usual, Dean doesn't care because he's the guy who has nothing left to lose since he's already dead. I know.
This is a trap that long season TV shows always fall into, is that you get a few episodes of that and then they have the talk and you're like, you snap out of it and they go, fine. And then you go, we got a lot of episodes left.
And I'm Green Arrow and I can do everything alone and I don't need my family.
That one. Yes, exactly. It's maybe specifically a CW trap, but it is a general TV trap too, is that you both want your characters to progress and that you also need them to do it more slowly than maybe they would in real life.
Yes.
Because you gotta make those 26 episodes or whatever for your season.
And you need to build up towards something at the end.
Yeah.
So Sam has finally had it and tells Dean to drop the act. He can see right through it, and he knows that he's scared because his years are running out. His year is running out.
Yeah.
He's going to hell, and he's freaked. He knows this because Dean's his big brother, who has been looking up to who he's been looking up to since he was 4. And Sam knows this is exactly how Dean acts when he's terrified.
Yeah.
He doesn't really blame Dean, but he wishes that Dean would just drop the act and be his big brother again. Dean finally agrees to wait out the night with Sam in the hotel or until Gordon shows up.
Yeah.
After a couple hours of waiting, Dean's phone rings and Gordon tells him that he's got a girl tied up and he's going to kill her if they're not in the warehouse in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy. Now he's just like, oh, I'm a crazy vampire. I'd love to kill this girl. But either way, I'm getting what I want. Like, crazy.
Ugh.
The boys arrive.
He's so good.
I know, he's so good. The boys arrive at the warehouse to find the girl tied up on the floor.
Yeah.
They untie her and attempt to escape. However, they are sidetracked when a garage door slams between them and Sam gets trapped inside.
It like splits them
Yeah.
up. So then Sam is trapped alone with Gordon.
Crazy. At that moment, the lights black
Also,
out.
isn't the girl they rescue also a vampire?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
At that moment, the lights black out and Sam knows Gordon's in the room.
Oh, that idea, because we get some like vamp vision.
Yeah.
Because he
Can see in the dark. Yeah.
he's got the enhanced senses and that. He's got the advantage. He has all this strength and speed. He knows where Sam is. Sam's at a complete disadvantage. It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
And it's Sterling K. Brown, so he sells the shit out of it.
It's always like those things where the lights go out and somebody's got like night vision goggles and stuff like that. It's all like in Silence of the Lambs and stuff.
Yeah,
Like that's always really terrifying.
Yeah.
Sam takes out his blade, ready to finish him. Dean desperately tries to break through the door, but fails and is just distracted when he realizes that the girl Gordon had tied up has also been turned into a vampire and attacks Dean.
Yes. So Dean gets a fight, and Sam has to fight for his life.
That's what happens when you have a fucking hunter that turns into a vampire. He's like created all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I know all your moves, Batman. It's basically what's happening here with Gordon.
I'm going to break your spirit.
I really like, we started this show because you, for years on our comic book show, would make references to Supernatural. And now, like, going back over these episodes, I'm like, I know exactly why I like this. I know exactly why I like this.
It's so funny because now you get it's like they're clearly written by people who either love comic books or just like this is how you write good stuff.
Or just that, for serialized storytelling and using these sort of like amped up otherworldly
genre
things.
kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just where you end up. Yeah, there's so much comic book energy in Supernatural.
100%.
And I love it so much.
So good.
Yeah.
Dean is quick to respond and shoots her with the Colt. Oh yeah, they got the Colt.
Yeah, baby.
Inside, Sam is trying to defend himself in pitch black darkness while Gordon is eyeballing Sam with his red eyes and verbally taunting him. So now he's playing with his food.
Yeah, I mean, and this is it's more than just the hunger, and it's more than just the mission. This is how you show the sort of like the sadism of Gordon, right? I mean, we've seen this.
It's all circumstance with Gordon.
We've seen the sadistic side of Gordon in other things too. Like when the first time we meet him, and he's like he tortures. He's like, you could just kill them. There's no need to do that.
It's Gordon's life is about circumstance. He just happened to become a hunter because this thing happened to him. He was a fucking psycho regardless.
Yeah.
No matter what you put him into, he's always going to be this guy.
Yeah, I believe he is like inherently bad.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
He tells Sam that he's got 2 final good deeds, killing him and killing himself. Insane.
But again, like the thing that's motivating Dean is having nothing to lose, and then you see this like again the Dean and then the Gordon as the mirror of Dean that has been in this whole arc of Winchesters and Gordon, and you get it again. Dean has nothing to lose, and what is he using it for? Gordon has nothing to lose, and what does he use it for? It's so good.
Gordon and the Winchesters sound like a good like 70s band or something.
Yeah. We're Gordon and the Winchesters. Here's a song about the government.
Ding, 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 ding.
I was there in Dallas on the day
I was there in Dallas.
on the day I shot Kennedy.
Yeah.
I mean, that he was shot by someone, not me. No.
Who knows? At that moment, Gordon charges after Sam, breaking through the wall into the next room.
Yeah.
Dean comes to the rescue, attempting to fire another bullet from the Colt, but Gordon attacks him and attempts to turn him.
Yeah.
Boy, oh God, that would be so hot.
Oh,
Vampire Dean?
yes. Finally, an excuse for Dean to suck me.
Yeah, suck my
Blood.
blood, Dean.
We had to edit that word
Yeah.
in later. Yeah.
Blood. Sam grabs a strand of razor wire from the table
Oh, fuck.
and strangles Gordon.
He garrots him with razor wire
Insane.
and cuts his head off.
It's so fucking cool.
This whole episode, I was like, oh shit, Gordon's out of prison. Then I was like, oh shit, Gordon's a vampire. And then I was like, oh shit, they killed Gordon.
I know. So,
This episode could be like a fucking season finale.
yeah, 100%.
Ugh.
So, to lend a strong air of realism to Gordon's death, the scene was created by combining various special effects during filming with post-production visual effects. The plastic razor wire with blood tubing aided in the initial phases of the decapitation. It would slightly sink into Brown's neck as the pressure was applied, forcing the fake blood out. For the aftermath, Brown laid on the floor and the visual effects department removed his head from the shot and recreated it as a three-dimensional model. The department decided to push a little bit farther by having the head rocking into place and then mouth twitching. But the standards and practices found that a bit too graphic and forced them to remove the motion. Established in the first season from Dead Man's Blood were the shark-like teeth for vampires, and the design has subtly improved with each vampire episode. Though the special effects makeup department uses molds of the actors' mouths to create the fanged acrylic dentures, McNabb noted that it was very difficult to speak while wearing them. Blood-like makeup and around the actor's mouth helped sort of to create this vampiric visage.
Yeah.
This episode is obviously the final appearance of Sterling K. Brown.
Which is crazy because this episode felt like, oh my God, this is like the next evolution. He's going to be like their biggest antagonist. And
So-
they just kill him. And I mean, like, it works, but it's also like, there's a part of you that's like, should you have done that? It's like,
Well, they had no choice.
did he have like,
Yeah, he had other things. So Sterling
Right.
Clay, so Gordon's arc was actually intended to be longer, but
Right.
Brown's commitments to the Lifetime television series Army Wives limited his return.
oh,
The episode was really hard for him, though he was fine with the character dying. The idea of Gordon turning an innocent girl into a vampire was horrific to him.
yeah.
Although Gordon's actions in the previous episodes were questionable, Brown always believed the character to be ultimately good. I mean, I don't agree with that, but
I mean, but you're an actor. You got to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
your
yeah,
way
yeah,
in and you find the humanity of your character.
for
and
sure.
Stuff, yeah.
On this change, Brown commented, his end game was to kill Sam, and anyone else who has to experience detrimental effects because of that is not a concern of his. That was tough for me to process and get on board with. However, series creator Eric Kripke reasoned that the character was now a monster and should follow his instincts instead of logic. The writer of Fresh Blood, Sarah Gamble, also penned Gordon's initial episode and helped Kripke conceptualize the character. She felt that she lucked out in being able to write the character's final appearance and found that there's something so satisfying about turning him into a vampire and then chopping off his head with razor wire.
Yeah, because Gordon's entire thing was about vamps. Wasn't it vampires that killed his sister? And
Well,
stuff?
they turned his sister and then he killed her.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Immediately, like being like, "Oh, are you maybe a vampire?" I don't want to worry about it. Yeah, maybe she didn't even turn.
Yeah. It's like, oh, she's a vampire. It's like, it's cranberry juice.
Yeah, too late. The boys walked out of the warehouse, and we see Gordon's body propped up on its knees, leaning against a large tube, and his head lying on the ground. It's daylight, and the boys are chilling out off the side of a back road, having a few beers. Dean's fixing up the Impala and decides to give Sam an auto shop lesson, explaining to him the different parts of the car and insisting that he fix the rattling noise the car is making. Sam is shocked that Dean would let him go near the hood of the car because he barely lets him drive it. Dean tells him that he's going to need to know how to do these things down the line because it's his job to show his little brother the ropes. Dean hands Sam the wrench, and as he's working on the car, Dean nods in confidence that everything's going to be okay.
It's a nice ending. You know, it's still acknowledging, Dean is still acknowledging he's like going to die and go to hell. But it is also the thing that Sam asked of him, which is like, can you just be my brother?
So he's
stop?
Doing that.
Yeah. I really like that. But also just like the come down from like everything that happened inside.
Holy
shit.
Yeah. It's a nice sort of two-hander, which I really liked. That is the end of this episode.
Thoughts?
This is an incredible Gordon episode.
Yes.
This is an okay episode of Supernatural.
Okay.
I love this episode because of Gordon. I love what they do with this episode, like, and having I think without Sterling K. Brown specifically, this episode is lacking.
Yeah.
It feels so important and big and great because Sterling K. Brown is like exhausted from carrying the entire episode on his shoulders.
Yeah.
It's so fully and wholly kept on his shoulders for this entire thing. Like, the guys don't really even do that much in this. They have some annoying conversations, but it's just such a memorable episode because of how incredible Gordon is.
Yeah.
It's like,
if he didn't have I wonder if he didn't have other commitments, if they would have still turned him, but then left him alive.
That's what it seems like.
The turning him was like
always the end.
That's as soon as that happens, he's got to go.
Yeah.
Like I wonder. Yeah, I wonder if it's like this was going to happen at this point in the Gordon arc, but now we also have to kill him, or if it was like that would have been the end game. We've bumped it up to this episode because we got to get him out.
That's my guess, just based on what Sarah Gamble had said, which she was just like sort of lucked out that this ended up being the ending.
Yeah,
it seems like this was always the intent to write something like this, but maybe they intended to.
I guess I think it would have been neat for him to still be a vamp and be out there. Like, what a huge threat.
That's what I mean.
Oh yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah. Like this was, they were always going to do this episode, but it wasn't going to end like that, because it feels like she was going to write this regardless. It just ended up being the last one. I do really like this episode. I always remember, but I only really remember Gordon turns into a vampire, goes after the guys. That's all I sort of remember from this episode.
Oh man, I remember the razor wire.
Yes, sorry, and the way that he dies is really.
And
good.
I remember like the kind of like the details of him turning, and you know that scene where the light and all that kind of shit, like
really great effects.
Because it's also, I think, the first time we get like the perspective of what that change is for someone. Like those shots are shot so that you are with Gordon. Mm-hmm. You know, like in the episode with the werewolf, we don't get the whole thing is a mystery, so we don't get scenes with the werewolf where we experience the change from her perspective. Mm-hmm. Or, you know, things with ghosts, we don't. I guess maybe the closest we get is Roadkill or something like that, but we're still not experiencing like what it's like to be a ghost.
Yeah.
This is, I think, one of the first episodes of the show at all where we experience like what it's like to be the monster.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
I just think, when I compare this to the previous Gordon episode, I actually think that's a stronger episode. This is just a cool...
The one with him in jail, or like his earlier ones?
Yeah, his like when he was coming after them.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a stronger episode, but this just happens to be cooler conceptually and more terrifying. I'm going to give this 3.75 spider bites.
That is lower than I would have thought.
I you know what, coming into this, I think I was expecting it to be higher, but as I talked through it, I'm just like, it's good only because of him.
But is that a problem?
Is that enough though? Like
It's a Gordon ep.
Yeah, but you have these two main characters that you kind of just don't do enough with, and you just have them have like an annoying conversation. And
I will agree. I don't like that we have to keep coming back to the Dean reckless thing.
yeah,
But I almost think it's more of the fault of the previous episode trying to get us past it.
yeah,
Where this should be the one that gets us past it.
yeah.
Because of that dark mirror thing where it's like, you see, you both had nothing to lose.
Yeah,
Look what
yeah.
it fucking did to him.
Exactly. No, I agree.
And then you get this nice ending and that. I almost think, it works to the detriment of this episode that the previous episode or whenever
Tries
it
to
was,
wrap it up, yeah.
tries to wrap it up. If we didn't have that thing and Dean kind of being like, fine, yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Then this episode doesn't feel as
yeah,
like it's retreading it.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
feels like it's part of the arc of it.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
a
'cause-
little more intentional.
not every Supernatural episode needs to be funny. Like that
No.
doesn't need to happen. But I want more character development or like cool moments. Like even the action scenes are like not that good in this. It's more of just it everything happens really quickly, and the dramatic performance by Sterling K. Brown is so good that you sort of look past everything.
We've talked about it a ton. Sterling K. Brown is unassailable in this episode.
100
He
in
is
every episode. Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Everything he's doing is captivating
Yeah.
and perfect.
Yeah.
I still like that sort of sinister thing of the vampire turning people by drugging them.
Yeah.
That's a really gross. I mean,
That realism is
could
cool.
almost be its own episode. But there's a thing that I like about, we do get into these sort of patterns with Supernatural, and this episode is so good at being like, fuck you. Like, we start one way, we go like, oh, and this is the way the vampire's turning thing, and then all of a sudden Gordon shows up and you're like, shit. And then the vampire gets Gordon, and you're like, where are the Winchesters? And then it like every pivot that this episode does, like, it keeps you on the back foot because you don't know what's going to happen. And then they fucking kill Gordon, which I also was like, what?
I feel like they were
Like-
maybe intending to kill Dixon in this episode, but because of the thing they had to turn it into,
Maybe.
because they sort of like Dixon, whatever.
Yeah, yeah, everything about this episode,
It works
from
for the benefit.
way they have to kill Lucy to the setup
Yeah.
of this vampirism thing to the stuff with Gordon
Yeah.
to the fact that Dixon was just like, he's not innocent in it, but he's also like, they killed my last family. I'm trying to make it. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like all this shit. I love that this episode is just like, fuck you. You don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I do think, I don't know. I think it can ride on the strength of Sterling K. Brown. I love this episode. I'm gonna give it 4.5 fried onions.
I knew that was what
I'll
you were
never
gonna
get
do.
to have.
I knew that that's what you were gonna do.
Yeah.
I also think that the guy's
It's
like,
the last episode I can bring it up. So
I love that he's like, I'm just trying to rebuild my family the way it was before with 20-year-old hot blondes.
yeah, family.
Yeah, my family. They killed my daughter who was a child, and now I want a hot 20-year-old blonde.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, Dixon's not a good guy.
I'm hanging out at this nightclub trying to find my family.
Ugh.
So that was our reviews, but how did you feel about this episode?
Yeah.
Does this line up for you as one of the greats? Do you find it lacking a bit, or maybe you have something we missed about this or a past or future episode? Why don't you let us know online, starting with our email.
Yeah, ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
And of course, we are on all of the social medias.
That's right, at @GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
And don't forget to subscribe to this show so you can get every single episode every week automatically, and give us a 5-star reviews. We love to getting them on the Apple music playlist thing, and we like to get it through
Get them on Facebook.
Facebook.
If you give us reviews anywhere else, because I know some other kind of podcatchers have review features,
yeah.
take a little screenshot and send it to us. We don't necessarily get like notifications of everything, but we'd love to see those nice reviews.
Even just a a Twitter, like a tweet with
Yeah.
5-star reviews, we will even take those.
Oh yeah.
We'll take any 5-star review you can give us.
Yeah.
And if you do, we'll read it on the show.
Yeah.
Maybe they even objectify you a little bit.
Oh.
You know what you come to this show for. And don't forget that we have merch.
That's right, baby.
Ghostfacers Podcast Store.com.
Yeah.
We got sweaters and t-shirts and all this stuff.
Yeah. Should we make a Gordon T-shirt that says "Don't lose your head"?
We'll just do a God I Love Fried Onions shirt.
Yeah, actually, let's get that Kubrick fried onions shirt, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you love this podcast,
It's such a specific supernatural shirt. Like, I love it when they fry the onion.
yeah, that's it. If you love this show, like we've said throughout this episode, even, is that you might find some interesting stuff in our other award-winning podcast.
Oh, yeah. We're Canadian Podcast Award winners.
Right. Outstanding art series.
Yeah, go check out the Dr. DC podcast. It's about DC Comics. We answer listener questions. You don't need to know anything about it, but we're talking about the same types of things we talk about here, like the lore of how do these like monsters or superheroes, or how does like the universe work there. There's weirdly a lot of crossover, and certainly like the same kind of vibe and energy of comic books is in Supernatural. So if you're enjoying that stuff, you might enjoy that show too.
Absolutely. Also, we're award winners, so do yourself a service.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have to lose?
Everybody else says it's good. It's got to be.
Right?
Well, that is it. Say goodbye, bitch. Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.